Superman meets the world's finest werewolves. Once the Comics Code Authority's de facto ban on horror monsters ended, Marvel and DC Comics began bringing various supernatural creatures back. At DC, vampires and werewolves mainly appeared in anthology titles, with a few notable exceptions, such as Batman's offbeat conflicts with these mythical creatures. Mixing monsters with superheroes requires careful attention to detail, as there is a fine line to tread between the two. Supernatural monsters come from a genre different from the typical 32-page comic hero, so they generally didn't appear in a hero's book unless the writer came up with a compelling and credible hook. As the atypical guest villain, a mummy, zombie, or another creature can move sales. Some heroes can fit more seamlessly with mythic monsters. Batman's dark gothic elements blend well with werewolves and vampires. However, Superman would seem like the least likely hero to battle a werewolf in a story that proves more compelling than absurd. Give writers Denny O'Neil and Steve Skeets enormous credit for their work in World's Finest Comics. Number 214, October-November 1972. With the brilliant Halloween-themed A Beast Stalks the Badlands, where Superman falls prey to a howling werewolf. Can the original vigilante save him? That vigilante is the cowboy-themed hero, whose alter ego is marksman Gregory Saunders, and not the executioner-inspired Adrian Chase. Saunders' version is a Golden Age hero who feels like a 1950s relic. By the 1970s, cowboy comics had fallen out of favor with readers. In this team-up story, the out-of-time cowboy works effectively with a gothic creature antagonist, drawn from folklore, also from a bygone era. Issue 214 commences in the most early 1970s comic book of ways. Clark Kent reluctantly travels to Montana to cover a rodeo, with the only upside being that he'll get to see old chum the vigilante performing a marksmanship display. The rodeo predictably suffers a disaster when a mysterious ranch hand causes a cattle stampede. Mercifully, Superman shows up to save the crowd from being trampled. Vigilante doesn't wait around to pat the big blue Boy Scout on his back. The modern-day cowboy takes off on his motorcycle to find out who caused the stampede. The vigilante errs by rushing into a domestic squabble between two star-crossed lovers, Johnny and Martha, only to discover they are actually moon-cursed lovers. Young Johnny is a werewolf. After fending the man-turned-monster off, the vigilante and Martha make the brave, or perhaps foolish, decision to track the wolfman into a mine shaft, hoping to prevent him from hurting himself or others. Meanwhile, Superman makes a short trip to Gotham City to ask Batman to develop some damaged 16mm film from the stampede, and the caped crusader quickly reveals that the young man captured on film shows all the telltale signs of being a werewolf. Superman flies back to Montana to confront the werebeast. Superman tracks down the werewolf to the old abandoned mine, but he's not the mighty savior vigilante, or Martha expects. The pre-crisis Superman was notably vulnerable to magic, and werewolves are black magic rolled up in human attire and monster fur. Is it reasonable to call this an outstanding but frustrating story? The overall excellent tale shines when it focuses on Vigilante and the werewolf, delivering a rousing, scary adventure of a cowboy's battle against a supernatural creature. Had it been a Vigilante solo tale, it would be a standout DC Comics gem. Superman's involvement crowds the story, and Batman's presence as a convenient deus ex machina takes dramatic focus away from the main heroes. Batman quickly decodes the film like a horror CSI, then exits the story. Superman appears to serve as deus ex machina number 2, but the werewolf quickly gets the upper hand, proving that even Superman can fall under a Bronze Age full moon, until Vigilante saves the day in a downbeat ending. Although the writing has elements typical of the Silver Age holdover juvenile style, the ending presents tragic, mature themes. True, the simplistic storytelling elements drag it down slightly, but Vigilante's moral struggles and the downer ending allow the tale to shine. The 1972 heroic fright tale remains another in a massive stack of forgotten Bronze Age comics deserving a second look. How do you know when a story succeeds? when the creative team returns to the well of pulp horror. It took a few years, but Superman would face another wolf menace in the pages of World's Finest Comics. In issue 256, April-May 1979, the snarling, fanged creature proved more formidable than the magic-infused monster from earlier in the decade. This time, the Man of Steel squared off against the Werewolf of Krypton. Mercifully, Batman is given an expanded role in the story and helps Superman. Poor Professor Jeremiah Terry. He's hard at work at Argosy Laboratories. Actually, he's working off the clock to prove that he can open doors to alternate universes and dimensions, despite his daughter's admonishments to be careful. Dedicated scientists in comic books often ignore warnings, so Professor Terry opens a mysterious door that brings a Kryptonian werewolf to Gotham City 1979. The professor meets his demise, and the werewolf soon runs into an unprepared Batman and easily escapes. From his fortress of solitude, Superman discovers the professor's doorway created a path for the werewolf to exit its former place of exile, the Phantom Zone. Writer Denny O'Neil and artist Murphy Anderson crafted a rousing adventure that blends classic superheroics with 1950s science fiction and 1970s horror. Yes, overly retro storytelling leans juvenile, but the werewolf's grim origin underscores adult themes in a quirky and exceptional tale. The average reader today might not think werewolves and Superman mix, but they worked well together in the wild world of 1970s DC Comics. Where'd those days and moonlit nights go?